Chelsea versus Shamrock. We are going to speak over what happened in that game. This is now, I think, we're 19th, so around 18 or 19 days in a row of daily uploads. So if you guys could smash a like and subscribe if you haven't already to continue those daily uploads for December before we get back to normal in January and start going for higher quality videos next year and a couple a week, maybe two or three Chelsea videos a week, and then the odd sort of one extra. Yet to decide on those plans yet, but as you can see, on screen, we've got the Chelsea team, how they lined up in that first half, and then we put Shamrock on screen in yellow. Um, this is sort of the first half pressing scheme, which we're going to talk about because Chelsea sort of set up once again. If I turn this to sort of red, so we can see, set up in this sort of diamond shape in here again. KDH and Kukurea in those sort of areas, and quite a few players actually I think are worth talking about in this game. I think Tyrique George for a start in that first half, an interesting one to speak about. I think both at Chimpong didn't have loads to do, but again, worth talking about. And I think, to be fair, this entire sort of left-hand side in that first half was really impressive. And of course, Mark Guillot up front with a hat trick, and the third goal just being one that I absolutely loved. It had so many aspects of what I love, sort of in modern day football, as sort of creative tools with Noni Madueke putting in that little pitching wedge in swinger, which I think is just so hard to defend, and then having a sort of box presence of Guillot and the way he got his head on that ball and put it into the back of the net, it was just really, really good to see because that's something I've really wanted from this squad for a while. And to see Guillot do that, as much as I still think he still needs development in a lot of areas, and alone would do him a lot of good. He's been very good in the last few weeks, and his intensity is always good. Presses like an absolute maniac, and just reads the game really well in that sense, in that aspect of things, sort of when pressing. But when we had the ball in these areas, the idea was essentially, I mean, there's not too much to it. It was controlling the game, and it was the fact that they were going to have 3-on-4 here. If you could initiate one of the teams press this side, then the idea, of course, was then to sort of, can we quickly go back into, say, Disaxi, who can then split the lines into one of these two here. So, especially because they weren't playing with a two, sometimes with a 2 and a 3, it's a lot easier for these guys to attach man for man in midfield. But this happened against, it might have been Inter in pre-season, and I think Palace as well, where they press with sort of this front three. It's a lot easier to almost find these gaps into this sort of area once one of these two initiate the press onto one of the fullbacks, one of the wide centre backs. So that was obviously the idea. Get the ball into Castell, who again, he circulated the ball well, and then either can you look to play forward, Kukurea and KDH, can he attach one of these two players here from these sort of these sort of central defensive mids? Say the ball goes out to Kukurea's side, drags that over, and Kunku goes, drags that over, and then the spare man is here to then come back through the middle of the pitch really quickly and attack through this. And Chelsea did that on both sides really, really nicely. So props to all three of the midfield, really, all the whole diamond in sense. And Kunku, I don't think he was at his best. He got a really nice assist in the second half for Kukurea's goal, which was unbelievable in that second half as well. Really well taken. But again, could have probably done a little bit more in this game for me, in between the lines. Had a few sort of creative moments, but I do sometimes feel like Nkunku's trying really hard to impress to the point where sometimes he doesn't want to give the ball up early enough, and he really wants to either make that killer pass. I mean, there was one in this first half where he chipped like a really nice ball into KDH, I think it was, making a run back post, which he just missed. He went for the header and just missed it. But and as good as that would have been, I did enjoy that attempt. He's a number 10, he wants to create, right? But he did have quite a few options open for the sort of easy pass to play through. So it did feel like he's really trying to sort of make something happen himself and get some credit for it almost. But I like Nkunku. Good assist today. Had some moments. So yeah, no real complaints. I thought the whole diamond sort of did their job really well in that first half. And I wanted to speak about this dynamic here because I thought in the first half it was really good, sort of the usage of George sort of dropping into these areas. And I think George is really good when he's on the left because he has a variety of skills that he can use. He likes to cut inside and sort of get shots off, but because he's so sort of lethal on that, cutting inside on his right foot to get shots off, he's also got a very good variety of pass. So if Kukurea drags a man away, he can cut inside. If Kukurea goes into this half space, he's got that sort of quality to make incisive little passes. Like you'll often see him do a little ball roll to manipulate a bit of space and then find a little pass through the tiniest of gaps, and he can sort of find those little pockets to then combine, and he wants those like 1-2 combinations. In that sense, he's a little bit like Sancho, with those little combination plays. But then again, he's also got that in swinger on his right foot, which is really nice. A few really good balls, sort of that trajectory into that back post, again, which could have come off a bit like the Noni Madueke one to Guiu. So I really liked the first half from George, and I did think he could have had a goal in the second half, but I'm not as keen for him on the right, just because I think it's sort of he's slightly more predictable on the right in terms of wanting to sort of go down the line on his right foot and stay off his left foot coming inside to the point where defenders can almost gamble, and it sometimes causes him to give up the ball a little bit early and sort of just circulate it backwards a little bit more often than he does with the variation he can have on that side of the pitch. So that's just one aspect of George that sort of is a little bit different half to half. Guy was brilliant. He really sort of pinned two or three defenders at once. There was one play where Kukurea came up and obviously got these four here. I think Kunku may have even came into here. And Guiu sort of like made the run to pull this guy away. Kukurea dropped into here, and then Kunku had this sort of area here to operate. So the movement really good, really clever. And then the second half, because I think that we spoke about, I think, what I wanted to mention about these two is just, again, not as even as much Acheampong today, but just the athleticism of both these guys, both about 6'3", both have the power and the sort of, they're aggressive with their man, especially when that ball's, when Shamrock won the ball back, they were looking to go direct into these players. These guys were tight up on them, really tight, and being manhandling them almost in the sense of, we're not going to let you get round us. It's either we win the ball, or if you do knock it round us, you're not going as well. We're going to foul you, or we're going to use our sort of superior strength and athleticism. And Acheampong was just so good today at jockeying slowly, and then he'd just nip in, take the ball, and it was just looked easy for him. And same for Vega, he was just dominating in the air, and really, really good from those two in terms of aggression and sort of tenacity in winning those direct balls to sustain pressure. Again, Kukurea has always sustaining pressure with such effectiveness. And it was just another strength today, especially in that first half. We were just persistent throughout the whole half to the point where they couldn't keep us out. And it was just inevitable. In terms of second half changes, Madueke went off, George went over to the right, which saw Vale come on the left. Then we saw Guiu go off for Felix, I think it was, so sort of did this. And that was like the first set of changes, or like the halftime one was Vale, then the next one was Felix. I'm pretty sure it was just Felix, or no, that might have been at the same time as this change as well, because that Chempong then went into central centre back. Murray Campbell went in there, and then towards the end, Raksaki came in for not for Castay, for Dewsbury Hall, was it? I think it was. And we sort of saw a little setup like this with Raksaki in the bit lower in the pivot. Felix again moving side to side, doing the job, and Kunku went up front. Again, didn't really have too much to do up front. Vale wasn't great when he came on, didn't have loads to do. Murray Campbell looked tidy on the ball, had a few sort of nice moments, just putting it into George's feet and sort of linking play in these sort of scenarios here. We already spoke about why I think George sort of struggled a little bit more on the right, but he did have a really good chance to score, which is unfortunate. Felix always looks tidy in these games when he comes on. I did say it when we first signed him. I think this is Felix's unit team. Like, if he obviously when he's been starting in the Conference League, he's shown that he had a bit of a knock, so he didn't start today. He'd just come back from a knock. But this is his team. It's a bit like Cole Palmer's. Like, the first team is Cole Palmer's unit in terms of how he moves around the pitch, links things up, and makes things happen. He's the star man. In this sort of secondary team, this B team, second unit, whatever you want to call it, that's João Felix's job, and he did it again as usual. Acheampong again didn't have too much to do in this central centre back role, but it was fine. I still much prefer him in this role. I think he can be a lot more aggressive, and he has a bit of cover behind him, but he was fine in there. Unfortunate to concede the goal in the first half, meaning Jorgensen couldn't keep a clean sheet. There was a few chances for them in the second half late on as well. But apart from that, not too much to go into tactically. As I said, the main things were sort of the setup of the diamond, how we sustained pressure, and the performances of the academy lads. So I think that's going to be it for this video. Tomorrow's video is going to be the preview for Everton. I've watched about 5 Everton games this week to prepare the preview. So that will be out for you tomorrow. So don't forget to watch that. Drop a like, leave any comments and questions before the game. So before Sunday, I'll try to get round to all the comments for any questions you guys have ahead of the game, as I've already compiled the report on Everton, and we'll get into that tomorrow. So thank you guys for watching. Drop a like if you haven't already, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.